Welcome, Third Rock listeners, to the Branding Laboratory. I'm your host, Deevo, Chief Experience Officer for the Brand Storyteller and the Fusion Creative Brands. And each week, I have the privilege of speaking with extraordinary leaders and entrepreneurs who are reshaping the way industries work. These conversations go way beyond the surface to explore the core philosophies, the lessons, and the challenges that define the brands that we admire today. And one of the greatest rewards of this podcast is the opportunity to share the insights of some of the brightest minds in business, people who are passionate about pushing boundaries and redefining what's possible. And as I always say, the stories we tell are the brands we build. And this show is a testament to the power of that concept. Let's dive in. Hey, this is David from the Branding Laboratory, and I got a treat in store for you today. On today's episode, we have John and Mark Cronin from John's Crazy Socks, and this conversation really hit home for me on a lot of different levels. We're talking about some really big ideas, like Milton Friedman's famous quote about a company's only obligation is to its stakeholders. And John and Mark dramatically disagree with that. They take a completely different stance and believe that their responsibility is to everyone in their orbit, from the people who make their socks, to the people who are designing their socks, to the people working in their factories and their warehouse, to their charity partners. Everyone is part of their mission to spread happiness, which how can you go wrong with that? And John, with his entrepreneurial spirit, has been dreaming up ideas since he was a little kid. And let me tell you, his energy is contagious. His laugh is contagious. From hosting Facebook Lives, dance parties every Tuesday, to his entire philosophy of driven and dreaming. Yeah, that comes right out of his mouth. You can't help but be inspired. And what's crazy is John has a disability. He has Down syndrome. And for anybody who's ever interacted with a Down syndrome individual, you'll find that they are special characters and gifted by God, if there is such a person, in so many different ways. And we talked a little bit about why John is here and the lessons that his father is learning from him. So really fantastic conversation. One of the coolest moments of the conversation today was when we dug into this idea that John doesn't follow traditional rules. He just doesn't know the rules. He's blissfully unaware. And he's free to create his own path. And that's something we can all learn from, right? Because sometimes it's those who walk to the beat of their own drum that truly make a difference. And so if there's any one central takeaway I have from today's episode, is that spreading happiness is central to everything we do. Make a difference, but learn to ingratiate yourself with your gifts and never apologize for them, and step forward into the light of your own being and spread that message across the globe. I'm really excited for you to listen to this episode, so thank you for joining. So today we're not talking about branding. It's a branding podcast, but we're going to talk about spreading happiness and building purpose, which is all part of branding if you're doing it, and the things that you guys that are doing that are making a real impact. And that's one of the things I love about the podcast, and most of the guests, actually almost every guest we have on, is doing something on the planet that is making an impact in one way or another. And so when my team goes out and looks for potential guests, that's their charge, is find people who are doing something that's making a difference and in the process of helping other people. My guests today are Mark and John Cronin. They are the co-founders and presidents of John's Crazy Socks. John, that's you. And it's an e-commerce store with a mission to spread happiness, which I really like that. You don't get much better than that, a mission to spread happiness. Mark started the company with his son, John, who is with us. John has Down syndrome, and together they've built a business that celebrates people with a variety of differing abilities and giving back to the community, which is what I love most. And Mark and John, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Branding Laboratory. How are you today, fellas?
Wow, thank you so much. I think I can have that on your podcast. I'm really excited.
We're excited to be here, Deevo. This is a good group you got gathered here.
Thank you. So this heartwarming story that you both have, tell me, what was the initial inspiration for you and John to start this business?
A lot of it was based on necessity. We'll go back to when we started in the fall of 2016. And where were you, buddy?
I was at Huntington High School. I could be my last at school.
And so John was trying to figure out, like everybody else, what do I do when I graduate? What do I do when school is done? And what were you looking at?
I look at job, programs, and school. I can't find trade-offs that I don't like.
And Deevo, this is not unusual. Only 1 in 5 people with a disability are employed in this country. It's an awful situation. But John here,
Yeah.
you're a natural entrepreneur.
Yes, I am.
You didn't see a job you wanted. What do you say?
I said I will create one. I want to make one. I told my dad I want to play with him. And nice. Let's not been together.
Yes. So I'm a lucky man, right? I got 3 sons.
Yes, you are.
This is one I can work with.
Yes, I am.
So John is the epitome of an entrepreneur, which is those are the types of people we bring on the show, which is really what kind of compelled me to jump on and have a conversation with you. So I'm curious, how did you go to the idea of creating a sock business? Why not underwear? Why not t-shirts? Why not something else? Why socks?
Why socks?
Why socks? It's fun. It's colorful. It's creative. It's always let me be me. I want crazy socks my whole life. My dad and I drive around looking for those socks.
It was John's idea.
I did.
But he had worn and looked for these crazy socks his whole life. So the thinking was, if John loves them that much, surely other people would too, but we could find those people.
Certainly. And one of the things I love about that, and personally, I have a beef to pick with you, John. I expected to have at least 2 or 3 pairs of socks sitting right here on my desk before we started this show so that I could showcase what these crazy socks looks like. So I expect after the show is done that I get a shipment courtesy.
You will get a nice box, and I apologize. We'll put that on me. And Deevo socks in it.
So you have, I love the idea of spreading happiness and advocating for people with differing abilities. And it is interesting. I was just telling the story to my daughters. I have 2 teenage daughters as well. And there's a stigma associated with anybody who has, no matter how small or minute it is, disabilities. And the normies, if you will, of the world just look down upon that and don't realize that there are actual things that people that have disabilities can actually do. John, this is a question for you. Have you, in terms of your life, have you felt challenged or persecuted because of your disability? And what's your perspective on that? How have you changed how you think about things?
Some challenges that of my life that I'm showing my impact and I out of community that I go out like outreach and
I think part of it, John, you have Down syndrome. Right? What do you say about that?
I have Down syndrome. Down syndrome never hold me back.
This is who he is. So he doesn't know anything that this is a disability. It's who he is. And part of what we do is, instead of hiding from it, instead of avoiding it, let's lean into it.
I love that.
Absolutely.
And there's something when you're a parent, you're born, you have a child born with a disability. Some people get sad, it can be traumatic. One of the things you hear often, and people mean well in saying this, oh, God would only give a challenge to those he knows can handle it. First off, it's a very odd view of the cosmos. It suggests that there's an interventionist God who's looking around and looks down and says, oh, those people over there, they seem to be doing pretty well. Boom, let's see if they can handle this. When in fact, we are made better people by our children. God has educated me in ways that I could never have imagined to understand that each of us have strengths, that we all have a story to tell. And when you lean into that, what might appear to be a disability becomes a strength.
Yeah. Your philosophy is more in line with how I view the world. I think on an individual basis, everybody is brought here in some way, shape, or form, either to learn something themselves or to be a messenger for other people, to help other people learn something. And so I agree with you. I think that whether you call it a disability or whether you call it a challenge or you call it a gift, it's our job as individuals, whether we have a disability or not, is to figure out how can we give back to the world? How can we share with the world? How can we make everyone around us better, and in the process making ourselves better? So I love this whole philosophy that you just shared with me, and I want to dive into the company itself because what it's doing. You bootstrap this entire company, and from what I understand, Melissa told me it was a 7-figure business now, which is
Right,
insane.
we have
I need,
multi-million dollars
I,
in revenues.
amazing.
When we started, right, we went the lean startup route. So it was just John and me.
Yeah.
We got started, and when we started, we had 37 different sock choices. How many do we have now?
Now we have 4,000 different stocks. I own the world largest stock, so I own.
So
Wow.
there is a mission to spread happiness. And this is important. I'm old. I've been around and done enough things.
You are old.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
I've had that awful experience of participating in mission statement writing exercises, where you put words down and parse the language and wind up with something that no human would ever say. For us, we talk about this all the time. How are we going to spread happiness? And that drives all of our decisions, budgets, resource allocations, how we market, how we talk to people. And what do you say are the keys to happiness?
I only meant about is gratitude. Thank you for others.
So Deevo, we do share an outlook. We're so fortunate to get to do what we do. And that creates an obligation to be able to do for others. So much of our mission is showing what people with different abilities can do. It's one example of that. We do it with John here.
Yes.
He has Down syndrome. We don't hide him. You're the face of the business.
And
We do it with our hiring. More than half of our colleagues have a differing ability. We do it through our social media. We want to share content all the time. We host tours and work groups. John, you give the tours.
I gave all the tour.
We've had more than 2,000 people come through our operation.
And
it's
where are you located? You're in Huntington, did I see?
we're
Is
on
that-
Long Island. Our
Yeah.
office is in Farmingdale now, our office and warehouse.
So I've been on the website. I took a look. There are a plethora of socks. John, do you have a favorite style that is your go-to?
I do. I have a different little style. I tell you my favorite. I down the room, superhero socks with a cape the back. I just want to tell you, my face on that sock.
Are you wearing a pair of your
That's why you
socks right
hope.
now?
What are you wearing right now?
Show me what you have on right now.
Well, what are you wearing right now? What socks?
I didn't wear anything.
Wearing socks? Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
God, you're a sock tycoon. You come to an interview with no socks?
I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
I saw there was something that caught my eye, and I don't know if it was your onboarding form or your website, but the whole idea of building relationships really stood out to me because it's one of the cornerstones of what I teach in my workshops and work with my clients is that building a business is about building relationships. How important, and have you always felt this way, Mark and John? How important would you say relationships are over revenue?
We're in this for the long haul. We're not chasing transactions. We are trying to build relationships and build a community. And that affects everything we do. Here's an example. And we could talk about our 5 pillars and our values. Your values don't matter unless you're willing to have them cost you some money. So here's one way we do it. In our packaging, we're always looking to create customer experiences. So we don't just send you socks. You get a package that's brightly colored, John's mug on the outside of the
I do.
package. You open it up, you get your socks. You get a handwritten thank you note from John. On the flip side of that is the story of John's crazy socks. There's some candy in the package to say thank you. And on the packing slip, you see a picture of the name and the picture and name of the person who packed your order.
That's amazing.
So you're not just getting socks, you're getting this dose of happiness. But I'll give you an example. When we started with the candy, what candy were we putting in?
100 kisses.
Everybody loved it. You'd pour in Hershey's Kisses. And again, we're just starting off. And then we started hitting the warmer weather and we get that email from the woman in Florida saying, you may not want to send chocolate to the South.
That's the first thing I thought about when you're with your distribution. Are you only sending chocolate to the North Pole? Because otherwise you're cool.
So we eventually moved to Skittles, and we've sent out over 300,000 packages of Skittles. And was trying to work with the Mars Corporation and say, why don't you be the official candy of John's Crazy Socks? And we finally spoke to the right executive there who said, we have a partnership with the NFL and with NASCAR. We don't really care about John's Crazy Socks. But okay, so we're not going to, if you don't want us, we're not going to keep sending out Skittles. What can we do? So our Lord of the Socks, who runs our warehouse and our fulfillment, he finds us a lollipop company. And we were paying 26 cents a package for the Skittles. The lollipops are a nickel each, a little less than a nickel each. Why? We have some strategic partners. And they immediately leaned in and said, go, we're sending one lollipop. I said, what the hell do you mean one lollipop? How can you send one lollipop? You got to send two lollipops. One for the customer, one to give to a friend. It's part of that generosity, part of that gratitude.
To pay it forward.
And then I listened to, yeah, you're married, you multiply the 5 cents by the 80,000 packages. And guys, if I got to explain to you 2 lollipops as opposed to 1 lollipop, we are lost. And that's the type of thing. But it has to be, you're always on a journey to figure this out. So here's another example. Again, dealing with candy. So one day, one of our happiness packers comes to us and says, we sell socks for diabetics, and we're sending them candy. What's wrong with that picture? So now we have a supply of sugar-free candy. So if you order diabetic socks, we send you sugar-free candy.
So my takeaway from that story is the customer experience is top of line for everything you do. You're not looking at it from your perspective. You're looking at it from how can we deliver an experience to our customer that is exceptional to none, but also takes small little subtleties and nuances into consideration.
Yes.
I love that.
Empathy has to be built into what you do. We want them to share in the full experience. So when we first started, most of our orders were local. I'm talking the first days. How would we deliver them? How would we deliver those first orders?
Home delivery.
Home deliveries. John, we put stuff in a box or a little car.
Yeah.
John knocked on doors. Now we're getting on to 500,000 orders to 89 countries. But if we get an order between our office and our home, what are you doing?
I still do home delivery.
I love that. Can I go back to the early days of the distribution channels? And so you had the idea to create the Crazy Sock concept. How did you go to market with that, if you don't mind? Tell me a little bit about that journey from design to creation to distribution. How did you find a distributor to make it? Who's the artist that designs the socks? Tell me a little bit about that.
You make it sound so sophisticated. Like I said, we went the lean startup route. John had the idea. That was right before Thanksgiving in 2016. We said, we'll get something up and running, we'll test it. So we built a website on the Shopify platform. When we started, we were only selling other people's socks. And that was an interesting situation.
Got it.
Because people didn't want to sell to us until we demonstrated that we had customers. Well, if you won't sell to us, how can we get customers? So we had to control a few to sell to us. And then the only marketing we really did was set up a Facebook page. I would take out my cell phone and we made videos. And who do you think was in those videos?
I am. I talk about socks. Socks, socks.
You were a sock model.
And
Yes.
so that's how we started. We tested it.
I hope you have nice feet.
He has human feet. Sometimes they're like hobbit feet, but so we opened in, what was the day we opened?
We opened December 9th, 2016, on the Friday.
Not sure what to expect. We got 42 orders the first day. In that first month, really 2 weeks leading up to Christmas, we shipped 452 orders, and we knew we had something. We didn't know how big it would grow. We didn't know how fast. We branched out to start designing our own socks. And that was an interesting story. It's January of 2017. We are learning firsthand. People don't buy anything in January because they spent all their money at the holidays. That's when we discovered that people celebrated World Down Syndrome Day. When's World Down Syndrome Day?
March 21st.
They celebrate that by wearing crazy socks. Now, you would have thought we knew that ahead of time, but we're not that smart. So we go looking for a Down syndrome themed sock. Nobody made one. But John, the natural entrepreneur, what
I
did you
am.
say?
I
Nobody made a Down syndrome sock. What you say?
said I want to make one. I want to create one.
So he designed the world's first Down syndrome awareness sock. We got somebody to make that for us. We called up the National Down Syndrome Society and said, hey guys, we're going to send you money from every pair of these socks that we sell. And they said, who are you?
Speaking of which, I saw on the $750,000 so far for charity, and you were donating to Special
Funny.
Olympics, National Down Syndrome Society that you just referenced. What role does giving back play in the business itself? You've talked a lot about relationships and customer experience, and now you have this sort of benefit of sharing your profits with other groups. Is that a large part of your business model? And will it
Yes,
always
it
be?
is.
It is, huh?
And it's essential to what we do. First, it's not enough to just sell stuff. You got to give back. It's part of the gratitude that John talks about in spreading happiness. But there's also something different that we do. It's not the patrician model of let's wait till the end of the year, see how much money we have, and decide to give to the owners, and who the owners want to give to. It's an upfront promise. It's built into the products. It's saying we're going to raise awareness. We're going to celebrate certain causes and then raise money for those causes. So part of the customer experience, if you buy from us, right, you're going to get socks you love, socks that make you feel good. And they're great socks. I looked last night, we have almost 34,000 five-star reviews. But when you buy from us, you're helping us create jobs for people with different abilities. Right? More than half our colleagues have a different ability.
How many people are you employing now?
We have 34, 22 have a different ability.
34 employees, 22 with different. Let's bring.
And when you buy from us, you're supporting our giving back program. You become a philanthropist and you know where the money's going. And then most of all, you're helping us
I spread happiness.
spread out.
Mm-hmm. Are you doing, you mentioned at the outset of your business, you were selling other people's socks. Are you now allowing like a concept for other people to sell your socks as well?
We have entered the wholesale channel. Yes, people can sell ours via retail. We have 3 channels: direct to consumer through our website. We have a growing B2B line of custom socks. We have gift package services. We have a welcome package services that a lot of companies are starting to use to send packages to their new employees or their new customers. We do assembly and kitting services for people. The National Down Syndrome Society now has us doing fulfillment for them. So we have B2B and we're also on the wholesale channel.
That's amazing. In terms of your onboarding for resellers, because of the very specific philosophies that you have around customer experience and relationship building, do you vet who's a reseller for your socks to make sure that their values are in alignment with yours?
We do.
And is a reseller required to also be philanthropic in any way?
We don't impose that on them. The vetting comes back a bit to we're building relationships. It's not, you don't want to just sell in any gas station.
Yeah, totally.
You want to be in a place where, and we look to build those relationships. With the mom and pop stores, we make videos to thank them. We share on our social media. Look where you can find us.
There are, and I have no idea on the count, I would suspect there's thousands of people who distribute, create, sell socks online. How would you say John's Crazy Socks is differentiating itself in terms of why would we buy socks from you? Why would we, from when there's thousands of other choices? What is it about what you're doing that you would say? I have my obvious answers, but John and Mark, what would you say if somebody were to ask you what makes, John, this is for you. What would you say if someone were to say, what makes your business so unique and why would I buy my socks from you?
They're from you.
Yeah, for me.
It's the story and the mission.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. And this applies to us, but I think to all businesses. We've gone out and counted, Deevo, how many other sock businesses. There are exactly 1 gazillion. And if all we're doing is selling socks, we're lost. Because what do you say? Ours are better than yours?
I just mess up.
They don't smell like yours? But we have something different. When you buy our socks, it's the feeling you get. They make you feel good.
Mm,
They make you happy.
mm.
And it's because of the whole package. There's no one thing. It's
Yeah.
because of the way we create customer experience. It's because of the giving back. It's because of the hiring that we do.
Yeah.
It's because of the story. It's because,
The
in
story.
some corny way, it's a business built on love.
I encounter a lot of people that sort of claim that they're about the relationship. They claim they're about the customer experience, but they're suffering because their leadership model is based upon revenue exclusively. And if you were consulting businesses that were looking to replicate some of the success that you're having in this corner of the world, which is relationship building, client centric, customer experience, what would you advise a leader on how to make a shift in their core philosophies so that they could be more in line with what you're doing?
You have to know why you're doing what you're doing. You have to know what your purpose is. And then your metrics have to measure that. If you say, in our case, we want to show what people are doing, we want to show what people with different abilities can do. We want to spread happiness. If we say that, and then our only metrics are to look at revenue, there's a disconnect there. You measure what matters. And that will sustain you in the long run. If you go chasing that revenue, you're going to be lost. You're going to make too many short-term decisions. You need to build those relationships, and that's more sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's partly, it is, I think, a philosophical shift. Go back to the mid-1960s. Milton Friedman declared, the only obligation a company has is to its shareholders.
Hmm.
And American business followed, and I think that's a huge mistake.
Sure.
In fact, we have an obligation to all of our stakeholders, our employees, our customers, our community, the environment, our suppliers. When you do that, you are more sustainable. You will survive the bad times. You will have different ways forward. So I can give you a tangible example. You may have heard back in 2020, we had a pandemic.
Hmm.
That was bad for our particular business, particularly because in the spring, when we can do some good sales, much of it is based on public gatherings, celebration of World Down Syndrome Day, Autism Month, all that went away. What do? The first thing was we had to make sure we took care of our people. We had to make sure everybody was safe.
Mm.
The second thing is, how do you adapt what you do? So the tours, we moved online. That opened the world. Our speaking engagements, we moved online. That opened the world. We made socks. We created healthcare superhero socks to thank the frontline workers. And those raised $50,000 for the American Nurses Foundation's COVID. But then you also look and say, what new opportunities? So they were easy ones, right? We made masks with our themes. But what's our mission?
Spread happiness.
How do you spread happiness if everybody is locked down and isolated? What do you do every Tuesday afternoon?
Every Tuesday, I hold an online dance party every Tuesday.
John started an online dance party. What better way to make people feel good and be happy? What better way than to give a break to people? And to connect with folks, we started a Facebook Live show that during the pandemic was getting 40,000 people watch it. Now,
Are all these ideas, the spread happiness, which is the mission statement, and online dance party, are these all John's ideas? He came up with these on his own?
Everybody's ideas. I think you had the dance party.
I did.
John's a fount of ideas. But
when you were younger, I just want to, if I can for a second, just get more personal for a minute. As a younger individual, John, did you have any sort of referenceable material saying like this kid is different, this kid's gonna have unique ideas? I don't have any experience, so forgive me, with anyone in Down syndrome in my family, so I don't have a whole lot of context for it. But in looking back as a young kid, was there some writing on the wall that what he might do with his life someday would be uniquely different?
Did you have wild ideas when you were younger?
I do.
Were you driven?
Yeah, I was driven and dreaming.
We can look back now.
Did he say driven and dreaming? Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
We
that.
can look back.
I'm gonna use that, John. Is that okay? Can I steal that?
Yeah.
We can look back and see the obvious signs. And here's an example. So John is attending a summer school program in our local school district. And I'm in town one day and I run into the principal of the school. And she says, Mark, you must be so excited about the talent show. What talent show? She looks at me, the talent show that John is putting on. What do you mean? John decided the school should have a talent show. So he put together a presentation on his iPad, made an appointment to see the principal, pitched the show to her, and then told her she would go organize it. He would go organize it. So he went classroom to classroom organizing this and didn't tell us because it was going to be a surprise. And he pulled that. Or there was the Relay for Life show, the talent, a different thing in high school. And John was going to do a dance performance. John loves to dance. He would be dancing in front of our house all the time. And one of his brothers or my wife came to me and said, you can't let him do this. He's going to go out there. This is going to be bad. And I'm like, all right, I'm sitting talking to John. I say, John, I got your back. He says, Dad, I got this. And the night of this thing in the high school auditorium, and I never saw a stage that looked so big in my life. John comes out all by himself, signals for them to turn on the music, and just starts dancing. And he brought the house down.
I love it.
It's that confidence and willingness. Again, that's why I say he's a natural entrepreneur, because he sees things. He doesn't know all the rules.
Yeah.
So he sees things and it's just, we'll make that happen. And he's always coming up the learning curve.
That piece you just said, he doesn't know all the rules. That is a really core philosophy that we should really expound on. Because I have found in my experience that most people who don't play by the rules, and I'm going to use my own children as an example. I have two daughters. One of them is very rule-based. She's very pragmatic, don't ruffle any feathers, stick to the books. And the other one who's buck it all. I'm going to do whatever I possibly can to buck the system. And I've often said, and I'm not saying this to slight one or the other, I've often said if there were two personalities, all things being equal, it's the rule breakers who are generally the ones who go further in life. The people who don't necessarily know that that there are rules. It's a fantastic paradigm to discuss. And I don't really know, what is it about people that have that individual personality that don't know the rules? Any thoughts on that?
There are people who don't know the rules, and then there are people that do and break the rules. But let's think about our education system.
Yes. Don't take me down this rabbit hole. We'll be on here for 3 hours.
We train people to be docile,
to be robots.
To follow within the lines. We give an award out. Our school district does this at middle school for the student of the month. My eldest son, he got that like the first month he was eligible. And that goes to the people who line up and don't cause any trouble and they do what they're told. My middle son, they held out. They didn't want to have to give him that award because he drew outside the lines. He ruffled things. Well, that's all great. And the other thing they do in school, if you work with somebody else, we call that cheating. Once you're out of school, you do nothing alone.
I agree.
You always got to work with teams. And the people that make the biggest impact are the people that find a new way of doing something.
100%. 100%. John, I have a new line of socks that I personally would like to request. I want the John Rebel socks.
You want to do that?
Sure.
You think you're the rule follower, though.
I am.
He carries the bail money to get me out of trouble.
There's a new line of socks, and I want to be the first person to wear them.
The Johnny Rebel socks, huh?
The Johnny Rebel socks.
that?
This has been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate you both joining us. There's a lot of takeaways for me. I love that Milton Friedman quote. I'm gonna use that in my post closing here. Spread happiness. That's a mission that everybody can latch on to. It's simple but is powerfully impactful. So John, well done. I appreciate you both jumping on the show. What's the next big venture for the two of you?
Oh, we have a number of things going on. We have our fashion, our Another Face of Beauty fashion and art show. This will be our third annual one where all the models, musical performers and artists have a differing ability. We are starting a new business. It is a publishing company that will focus on two types of books.
Yeah, I am, and my dad's saying that we need to publish 2 books. I am also writing a book too. I want the book about a
Giant book of jokes. And what's the other one you're doing?
The other one I'm doing, I'm doing a children's book. I'm gonna be like a picture book. I have Dan to know me back, and
So you're gonna be an author,
I'll be
you know,
an
those two, but we're starting a publishing house
yeah,
that's gonna publish books by and about people with differing abilities and by and about business leaders and businesses that are working to have an impact beyond the profit line.
That's really cool.
We started down this path of us creating some books, looked at different publishing options and decided we should do this, give a voice to others. So we have that going on.
yes.
We're hitting the speaking circuit. We do a lot of speaking engagements. So starting next week, I think we're on the road once a week from now until early November.
Are you ever in Charlotte, North Carolina?
We've been there. If we can, we'll come revisit. Yesterday, we spoke with we did a virtual presentation.
Yeah, we did.
The Murdoch
virtual
Center
tour,
in North
yeah.
Carolina.
Let me know if you're ever in town. I'd love to meet up with you both.
That would be
If you're a joke teller, I have a joke for you, John. Why did the sock go to therapy?
I don't know.
Because it had too many holes in its sole.
You like that one, huh?
Yeah,
Gentlemen, this has been a great conversation, inspiring. I appreciate it. John, you are a serial entrepreneur at its best. I love everything you're doing. Thank you for sharing your happiness with me today. It's made my day a little bit brighter. I appreciate that. And Mark, thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time. It's been a good show.
You want to tell people where they can find us?
I'm finding it at johnscrazysocks.com.
John'sCrazySocks.com, and we're on every social media platform. Catch John dancing on TikTok, and you have advice for people out there.
I do that.
Go ahead.
My advice for you today is follow your heart. Follow your dreams. Work hard. And more importantly, show you can do.
And spread happiness.
Yes.
And spread happiness. Gentlemen, I really appreciate coming on the show today. This is the Branding Laboratory. And for those who are looking to find and connect with John and Mark, the URLs, the social media channels, they'll all be in the show notes. So you can just click below and navigate to your respective channel and find them. John, I hope that you will look me up if you come to Charlotte, North Carolina. I would love to meet you in person. And if you do, you better be coming with some socks. And I'm going to follow up with you on those the Johnny Rebel socks. I want to see that line out.
All right, Deevo, that's great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a wonderful day. That was an insightful conversation with John and Mark. Thank you both for sharing your journey, your mission, and your happiness. How can you not have a smile on your face after a show like that? And it's really cool to hear John's take on things and the story behind it and how they're making a real difference in the world. And whether you have Down syndrome or you have a disability or whatever, it doesn't really matter, right? The point of living your life is to be happy. And if your mission centers around spread happiness and you're making a difference and making money and sharing this money and employing people, that's like the pilot program for entrepreneurship, isn't it? So we covered some really cool points today. There's too many of them. I really love some of the quotes around Milton Friedman, and I had to curb myself because Mark was about to head down the rabbit hole of education, and that's not a conversation I'm prepared to have today because that would be like a 5-hour conversation. Anyway, thank you, John. Thank you, Mark, for using your platform to empower people with different abilities and spreading the happiness and wonderful things that you're doing in the community of the planet. So don't forget to subscribe to the show, The Branding Laboratory, like it, share it, review it, connect with us on social media. And if you're looking to elevate your brand, you can head over to my website, thebrandstoryteller.com, to learn more about how I can help you grow your business and hopefully spread some happiness as well. Until next time, I'm Deevo. I am the brand storyteller. That was Mark and John Cronin with John's Crazy Socks. You can find them at johnscrazysocks.com. And we are grateful that you joined us today on the Branding Laboratory. Thanks for tuning in to the Branding Laboratory. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Connect with us on social media for more branding tips and insights. And remember, your story matters. Until next time, keep building and sharing your unique brand story. I'll see you soon.